Welcome back to another episode of The Decision Hour. I am your host, Adam Bird. Folks, to say that I'm excited about what I have in store for you today is merely an understatement. I've known this young lady for years, and it has taken me years to get her on, and it's my own fault. I'm super excited and blessed to have her on the show today. She's a visionary entrepreneur and the dynamic publisher of The Mag, an inspirational media platform dedicated to sharing motivational stories. She also has the Mag Lifestyle, Mag Agency, and a TV network. She's cultivates a passionate community focused on self-improvement and social impact, creating connections and opportunities through brand recognitions and collaborations. Let me tell you something. The collaborating side of this woman's a genius when it comes to this stuff. She's got an upcoming event for veterans, a tribute concert here down in Florida coming up. And since you're listening to the show already, it means you're already online. Open up another browser and go to themaglifestyle.com. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Renee Wagner. Renee, how are you today?
I'm amazing. Thank you for that intro, Adam. And it's been a long time coming. I met you right in the beginning of this journey. And my God, what a whirlwind to actually come full circle, to be here. Amazing. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I am truly blessed. It's timing, and this is just the right timing, I think. We talked offline a little bit before, and God just kind of puts people in your path at the right time and whatnot. And this is great. So let's jump right into this. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Oh gosh. So I am a small town girl from southern Massachusetts. Grew up with a single mom of 6. I'm the youngest of 6. She didn't have an easy life, and I learned how to persevere through struggles and watched her be very determined in life to do what she needed to do in a survival type mode. And, it kind of made me who I am today. Yeah. Fast forward, I'm a mom of 2. I live in southern New Hampshire, and, I started off as a corporate worker. I went to high school, then I went to college like everyone else does. And, went down those roads and just wasn't really finding who I was through that. And I dropped out of college, moved down to South Florida when I was in my early 20s. I'm not dating myself. And, worked for different companies, traveled the world. I worked for Herbalife and was in marketing and sales, and really kind of ventured out into that world and loved not being in a corporate environment. Yeah. Moved back home, got married, settled down, had the kids. And then when I was a stay-at-home mom, I decided I wasn't going back to the corporate world. Didn't know what I was going to do. But I went back to college and I had little babies, and I was determined to get my degree. It was one of those life goals that I just didn't want to let go of. Right. I didn't think I was capable. I think coming from a traumatic upbringing, again, it made me who I am today. It's not something that I wear lightly. It's something that I grew into and I've healed from. And I think it's the power of storytelling, which is kind of what I do today. And it's kind of healing to know that I'm surrounded by so many people that utilize that, especially in the veteran space. The power of your story, how it can heal yourself and you can help other people. And so it kind of led me into wanting to inspire other people or help someone with sharing my story.
Well, let's back up a second here. I wanted to, first off, where did you go to college when you went back to school, and did you finish the second time going through?
I did. And a quick story on that. So I went to a community college because I was a stay-at-home mom. So I'm like, how can you do this on one income? And how am I going to do it with 2 babies? But I did. And my husband worked around the clocks to give us that time. Nice. And I really didn't think I could do it. They were little. There were online classes. I wanted to do it in a short time because I knew I was going back to the workforce, and I was determined not to. Yeah. I wanted to do something on my own and have my own vision and my own thing. Fast forward, it took me 3 years online, graduated on the dean's list, with a 3.8, and I was shy of, where I wanted to be, but I amazed myself.
That's pretty, I don't know, Renee, that's pretty good. You're talking to a guy that went through college and his outlook was a D will get you a degree. So, I mean, a 3.8 is pretty good.
Well, that's what I thought that I was. So when I went back, I'm like, there's no way I'm graduating. I'm going to do this again and see what I can do. But you know what it was? It was that determination that my kids gave me.
Yeah.
It was like, you know what? If I'm going to take the time to do this, I'm doing this for myself because it's a goal, but I want to share this story with them one day because someday it might be useful to them, that I persevered through those times. And even when it was hard, I didn't quit because there were times where I'm like, I can't do this. I had 4 classes. I'm like, there's no way. And I would cram and I'm like, I'm going to fail. And every time I told myself I'm going to fail, I pushed myself harder and I didn't fail.
Nice.
So I think it was one of those mindsets that I kind of tricked myself. And I think even now in my business and what I do, it's that same thing. It's like every day I'm like, I can't do this. Who's going to believe, even when I started this business, I'm like, who cares about what I have to say? Who cares about my story? I'm going to fall flat on my face.
Does this sound familiar, folks? How many times have we heard this coming from my mouth? It's funny that you say that. Renee, how did you get started into the business and what you're doing now? And is that what you went to school for? Did you go to school for that? And did you wake up one morning and you're like, I'm going to start a business today. Poof. And this is what I'm going to do.
No, it was one of those things where I went back to school. I got my marketing degree, something that I knew I wanted to kind of explore. And I wanted that degree. It was more of a paper and more of a goal for me. It was never like, oh, I'm going to get a degree and make a lot of money. It was, I'm going to get a degree because it's a life goal. It's one of those holes in my soul that I wanted. And I didn't care what I did with it. I wanted that. And I'm like, it can only better my life anyway. And the day that I got my diploma, I was in that line and it was one of those moments. You're just like, hey, I'm actually doing this. I'm going to go up there and get a college diploma, me. And I think that just kind of set the tone for what I'm doing now. It's like, wow, I never thought that would have been me. And when I started that path, I went back and kind of dove deep into who I was and said, what really drove me when I was younger? Before I was a mom, who was I? What did I love about myself? What did I like doing? Where did I see myself now? Fast forward how many years? And I'm like, I love the entertainment industry. I love helping people. I love making a difference. And I want someone to hear my story, whether it helps one person, because I'm like, I know someone is struggling. I know someone can hear my story. And I don't care if 1,000 people hear it or one. And so I entered a Mrs. pageant reluctantly because I did pageants when I was younger. Mm-hmm. It kind of took me out of the abnormality of the traumatic life I lived through. Again, I'm thankful for that life. I don't think we go through things for no reason. It kind of determines who we are, and our past determines who we are today. And I think those things I carry with me. And yeah, you can be bitter and you can hold on to that. But I think when you get to a certain point in your life, you want to heal. And that's where I was. I wanted to let go of the shame and heal. And it was a lot of mental health and PTSD that I never knew I had until I went through therapy and had to go through those motions of knowing that I was in it for all those decades and didn't know I was suffering until I was able to deal with it head on, forgive what happened, and then say, what can I do good with this now for my kids, for me, and do something good with it for someone else. That may have been me, or maybe there's a person like me who needs that leg up and who wants to hear the story. And so when I went into this pageant and Mrs. Pageant reluctantly, because I was like, wow, I just had kids. I don't want to get on a stage in a bathing suit, but I did. And I, again, pushed myself to the limit. I worked out as much as I could from home because I couldn't go to the gym. I didn't have time and no resources. And I said, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it the best way I can. And it was there that I met someone who then gave me that motivation to believe in myself. Yeah. We were competitors. I think everybody comes in your life for a reason. Whether they stay for months or a year, people come into your life for those reasons. And I think that person did. And she gave me that thing that I needed to believe in myself, whether it was real or not. I believed in it. And that's how the MAG lifestyle was generated. I started freelancing for other publications and they just didn't align with me as a person. They were very superficial.
Yeah.
And I said, that's not who I am. I cannot work and I cannot be fake or superficial or what's in these other publications. I'm like, I want to storytell. I want to build a community. I want a platform. So when I go somewhere or when someone talks about me, they relate to me in a real way, not in a persona of, wow, you have a publication, so you're someone else above me. I never want to ever be that. And that was my goal with my business.
When you say publication, Renee, just to clarify for some people, is it an online publication? Do you guys have a magazine that you print out and is distributed through some type of, whether it's through retailers or through some type of membership?
Well, yes and no. So over the years, it started right before COVID. So I started this brand 2019. It was the fall of 2019 and all the ducks aligned and everything was in line. COVID hit in February. Luckily, we shot our first cover with Paul Sr. Right before the world shut down. And that kind of was the stepping stone for the Mag lifestyle. It was the magazine lifestyle. We evolved so much and it was slow growing because of COVID. So it started off wanting to be, my goal was for it to be print and digital.
Yeah.
And we were doing interviews behind the scenes in New York and online. And those were where the stories were that I was telling, to turn those into articles that we then put into the publication, which was supposed to launch that spring, but we couldn't because of COVID. I held on to all the content I had and I didn't know. I'm like, should I let this go? It just felt like I was fighting against a battle that I couldn't win. I'm like, I'm a new brand, everything shut down, nothing made sense anymore. And I didn't know what to do. And I was going to quit. I was going to let it all go. But I said, I have so many people that took time out of their life to give me this content. I can't let it fall. I can't let it go.
Right.
So again, I said, I'm going to publish this magazine, whether it's 1 or 100, I'm publishing this magazine. And I did. And I published it digital and print. It was over 200 pages. That's how much content I consumed in like 8 months.
Wow.
And that's where it went. I mean, we did that for a couple of years. We put out some really great issues, digital and print. We were print on demand because we didn't want to print and circulate with COVID because the shelf life of things weren't long and things weren't open. So we did more of print on demand and digital. And we continued to do our online interviewing and kind of kept it an online focus because we couldn't do events, which was hard. We couldn't do in-person interviews. So like everyone else, we just resorted to everything online. And then again, we did the print on demand.
How often does a new cover or a new issue come out? Is it a monthly, a quarterly? So
it started quarterly and it all got changed as we evolved. So as I evolved as a business, things were up and down. Some things don't go as well. You're not doing as well as you thought in certain areas. So I had to pivot many, many times in my business. Like I said, it was every day and every week. What am I doing? Am I doing this right? Is this what I should be doing? And it was one of those roller coasters where I ended up fast forward. The magazine almost became a vehicle, not the brand anymore. So it almost became like a platform versus it being just the magazine, where it originated. I was just the magazine.
Yeah.
It became more of a community and a platform where now it was the storytelling. Now when we could do events, we have opened our world up to events. Then I started networking in person with people and building the relationships I should have built years prior. I was one of those people, and I tell this story all the time. I didn't want to be on the camera. I wasn't that person. As much as it was my brand, I had everyone else be the face of my brand. And one of my good friends, he was one of my mentors. He said, Renee, what are you doing? People want to know you. They need to know you. You have so much that you can help other people. Isn't that why you started this? And I was like, but that's not me. I don't want to put myself out there. I don't want to plaster myself all over social media. That's not who I am. He's like, but you're not. He's like, you have to let people know who you are so they can relate to you in the ways that you're trying to inspire them. And he was so correct. And it wasn't until a year later, in 2023, that I said, you know what? I changed my life. I became this version of myself that I now accepted. I said, I'm going to do everything positive. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do all the things good. And I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to see what happens. And it was life-changing. You know, I started traveling and got invited to the biggest event you can think of. And it was that and the people around me, some really great mentors that believed in me. And it took one or two people to really believe in me as a person, to say, I can do this. And I felt like I had something to stand on. And I wasn't just a magazine anymore. I was a person.
So I have a question then. So you said just a second ago that it took a couple of people to believe in you. So my question to you, Renee, is do you believe in yourself now?
I do now. And it took a while. And I think it goes back to my story. You know, I think we tend to hide behind that story. We carry it. We, I guess, sometimes judge ourselves. We don't want people to know our story because we don't want them to judge us. We don't want them to think differently of us. Right. So you go through life being really not yourself.
No, you create some type of imposter syndrome or something. Like you'd stated earlier, you know, when you're doing this, and it's so funny because this resonates on a personal level with me, is why would anybody listen to me? Mm-hmm. Why would, you know, and it's like, but it's your story, right? It's, you don't know when you put your story out there, there's people, it's almost selfish not to share your story because God gave you your life. You're supposed to share your story because somebody out there whom you may never meet, but your story is going to affect that person in a positive way. And if you don't share your story, then you don't have that effect on those people that you're supposed to have an effect on.
It's so, and you're so right. Like, and that was one of the things that I regret in life is that I didn't do that early on. I missed opportunities to maybe help other people when I could have. And, you know, I think I've met so many great people. Oh my God, I could go through so many people right now that when I first met them, we connected because of our stories. Yeah. And it was like, wow, I would never have thought that. And it was that instant bonding that we shared our stories. And it was so liberating and so like I could breathe and I felt like I could be me and this person understood it. And we both helped each other. And it was one, like when I was a stay-at-home mom, it was the same thing. So as a stay-at-home mom or a mom, you want to be the best you can be. You want to be the best mom, but you're new. You've never done it before. Right. So you're like, this right. Then you go and you meet other moms and they look like they have everything right. They're doing everything right. Their kids are happy. They're in the bed at the right time. They get the whole thing together. Right. You think. Then you got me or someone thinking, wow, I'm a mess. Like my kids I am not.
To be a fly on the wall with somebody else's kids in their household when they're dealing with stuff. It's like it looks picture perfect. I was a single parent for 15 years. I get it. I was a single dad and I had custody of my son. And it's like, man, there wasn't, you know, there's books about how to be a parent, but most of them are written by psychiatrists and stuff like that don't have kids themselves. So it's like, it's, you know, pointless.
To be in it and then to realize. And then when I opened up to this one mom, I'll never forget it. She was one of those moms. I'm like, wow, she doesn't raise her voice. She's so calm. She's so collective. You know, I'm like, wow, I need to do that. Like, I got to keep I'm a cool headed person, but you know, she just looked like, wow, nothing flusters her. She's good. Come to find out, it was like, Renee, we were just chit chatting and I told her something. And then she's like, you know, I'm really looking for, do you know anyone, like a good counselor? I'm really struggling. I have severe depression and anxiety. And I'm like, I would never have known. Yeah. And it was that door that she opened that I said, wow. And then I opened up to her. We both shared our stories. And it was so unifying as moms to know that we weren't alone, that we had that same thing. Although we thought each other had it better, she probably thought I had it all together, like I thought she did. But I think that's what we do in life. You know, everybody thinks everyone else has it better. Yeah. And I don't think we relate to each other as much as we should through being real and telling our stories, because that's when you really connect to someone, is when you open that door to give people that space to be themselves and not feel like they have to be something they're not. And I think it just holds true to my business and now who I am as a person. I network beyond network. I never hide behind my story anymore. It's the first thing, because I'm inspired by myself now to inspire other people.
Yes.
And that's what I want to share. And that's what I do. I do it through events. I do it through passions like helping veterans, because we were talking earlier, I think God brought it to my world, my universe. Everything that I do has lined me up to really help veterans in the mental health and PTSD type world, where I know I have that network, that experience, and that personal story to relate, even though I'm not a veteran.
This is such a great transition. It's almost like she's done this before, folks.
No, I was like, oh, I'm going on a podcast. It's not going to do good.
What you're talking about the veterans. Why do you have such a passion for veterans? Let me start there. What ties you into the veteran community? What draws you to that?
I think it's the mental health side of it, and just knowing that a lot of veterans suffer. Mm-hmm. A lot of veterans suffer in silence. And I learned that through the events and the people like Paul, and being in that world, connecting through this brand that I didn't know what was going to happen with it. I just knew I wanted to create a platform to share my story and help other people. And I just didn't know what was going to become of it. And it evolved into more than what I thought in the storytelling and connecting with veterans. And fast forward to where I'm at, I think it was with my husband being a disabled vet, all the people that were in the veteran community that I was aligned with, even with you in the beginning. I met you, and it just seemed that it was there, but I wasn't hyper focused on it. And as life and my business evolved, the universe brought me things, and they just happened. Even till this day, things have just aligned where God keeps telling me there's something you need to do in this veteran space that I'm not done with you yet. So I'm still here. And I think it's knowing the sacrifice, knowing the risk that veterans take going into the military, leaving their families, knowing if they may not come back for our freedom. To me, that's like the biggest sacrifice in anything. So I'm really thankful for that. And I think the reason I'm so passionate is because of that I think it's such a great service and a selfless service that people do for our country, for our freedom, to protect us. I don't think gets that recognition that it should. And that kind of really stemmed what I do even now in my kind of day life with the marketing, and kind of like a community relations person. I work with businesses to, like right now I'm working with Visiting Angels. No one would have thought working freelancing for Visiting Angels that I would then be put into the veteran space. Right. Not in a million years. So when I came into this business, I was talking to the owners, and they said, you know what? We just got approved through the VA for the benefits that the veterans get for Visiting Angels. A lot of veterans don't know they have that in-home benefit. A lot of veterans don't even know what they have for benefits through the VA. So my role is to now go out in the field and educate all of the facilities that have people in the later in life, or anyone who needs that in-home care, who may be in a nursing home or in an assisted living, and really wants to be home and needs that assistance. And our veterans don't know they have this, and they stay in these homes when they could be home. And a lot of it's not covered by medical. So it's either out of pocket. So for me, it's a big thing for me to let veterans know there's a lot of vets. And a lot of vets need to know this is out there, because if you don't have long-term care insurance, which a lot of us don't, you don't have that benefit. Right. So I think for me, it's those things, even with my event in Clearwater with OCC, it was like I was telling you earlier, I went to an event I was invited to for Make-A-Wish through a good friend. She's a PR person, and she wanted me to come as press. I went with my writer and reporter and production. And Paul was there, and I met Paul, and it was like, we haven't seen each other in a couple of years because he moved from New York to Florida. And it was one of those things. And it was something that I always wanted to do. I wanted to do a veterans event, like a big concert, fundraiser, and just really bring a lot of nonprofits together that I was fortunate enough to meet. And so that conversation started in 23 in April. Then our event was the end of the year in November. But in that time, so many things transpired that I know happened because they were supposed to happen, not anything to do with me. It was,
and that's pretty fast putting an event together. I mean, if you started in April and it was at the end of the year where you did the event, and those of you listening, she's saying Paul, and she said OCC. So those of you that don't know, she's talking about Paul Sr. from Orange County Choppers, a show that was on TV for many, many years. So I just wanted to throw that as some clarification out there for the listeners there. So please continue.
No, thank you, Adam. I know, there's so much I could talk to you for hours.
I know.
I'm jumping over lines here, so I'm trying to keep it together.
No, yeah. So you did the event at the end of 23, and that was the first event that you did, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
So that was my first. So Salute to American Heroes was born out of this idea when I first met Paul, and then fast forward him going down and moving to OCC Roadhouse and partnering with Keith Overton and doing that whole amazing thing they do down there. I mean, it's a beautiful venue. It's 20,000 square feet. If you haven't been, it's like a turnkey place for concerts, and it's an indoor outdoor. It's Harley Davidson's on the premises and Burt's Barracuda, and they just have an amazing thing going. They do a lot of fundraising like they always have. And they opened their doors to us and said, hey, come here and have your event. Just amazing how everyone came together, like you said, in such a short time. It was an idea that turned into an actual event. I was introduced to Jay from Operation Healing Heroes. He is one of those people that you just don't meet every day. And, he became such a focal point of this event and backbone. I just can't thank Jay enough for everything he's done and what he still does. He has his own show that started off as, actually it was his foundation, Take a Vet Fishing. Now it's Operation Healing Heroes on Discovery Channel. And he is a storyteller. And so him and I automatically connected just by that alone. And then talking about this event. And I met Paul in April after years not seeing him at a Make-A-Wish Foundation in Florida. Then I went down weeks later with my family to Universal on vacation. I was standing in line and this couple was in front of us. And the woman had a shirt on. It was a spray painted picture of a young boy, and it had his life, and you could tell it was military. And we asked her who this boy was on her shirt, and she said that's my son. And you, of course, can see the grief in her face. And I'm sitting there with my son and my kids, and I just couldn't help but my heart fell. And knowing she gave the greatest sacrifice of a child, and I said, I don't know what to say, but I'm sorry. It's not enough. And I told her who I was. I said, I want to share your story. I don't know what I can do. And she said, I am trying really hard to let this country know that about Gold Star families. A lot of people don't even know what a Gold Star family is. Never mind say I'm sorry. Yeah. So she has a movement called I'm Sorry. She's really trying to get it to be a national holiday. To recognize Gold Star families and their sacrifice. I know we have Veterans Day and Memorial Day, but she wants this day as an honor day for the families who lost someone. And I think, meeting her was, again, for me, another universal alignment, not knowing this event was going to transpire months later. And I lost touch with her for a few months, didn't know how we were going to help her. And when I met Jay, it was an instant, like God sent it to me. Yeah. He said, told him the story. He said, I have one spot left on my 24 season for a Gold Star family. Can you connect me to her? And I said, oh my God, are you serious?
Nice. That's awesome.
So it was one of those things. And it just kind of spiraled into this really amazing event. We had Dave Bray USA on stage. We had country artists, nominated Grammy artists on stage. We had Purple Heart recipients on stage. It was an electric night. I mean, nothing I wouldn't have done anything different. it was done in a really short window.
Yeah.
Again, one of those things I didn't think I could do. There were times where I was going to pull the plug and I said, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm deep. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to make this. I'm going to put every foot I can in this, and I'll create feet if I have to. But I was determined.
Folks, again, if you're listening to this episode right now, you're already online. So just open up another browser and go to themaglifestyle.com. And when you're on the website, if you go up to events, you can click on the Salute to American Heroes, 2024. And you'll see like some pictures from the past events and stuff like that. You see Dave. You'll see this golfer named John Daly. Maybe some of you have heard of him. Just one of the guys I looked up to growing up playing golf. You got Paul Sr., Jesse G, and so many more. So I got it. We're coming up on time here, Renee, and like you're right. I can sit here and talk to hours with you. What do you have coming up? What do you want the people to know? What you have coming up, and how can they get involved?
So there's so much, and it's in the veteran space. Of course, the event, there's so much to this event that goes into it. So, of course, we want that support to give back to these nonprofits. We support Operation Healing Heroes. We support John Daly's foundation, Heart of a Lion, and we support Operation Song, which is down in Nashville. All doing great work for our veterans to heal and through PTSD and storytelling. I think that's one, and Salute to American Heroes has its own website as well. I'm also collaborating and working with a veteran apparel brand called 06 Reveille. Mm-hmm. We're creating a tribute for the American hero that kind of ties into the event. A lot of that is coming up this year and is launching. So I'm working with a veteran Marine on that line. What else? Gosh. Oh, I'm working with some regional publications here, and we're developing a bunch of new publications here in Boston. So I'm branching out in my brand in a regional way. Oh, wow. Because I started national. So those things are in the foreseen future. Nice. But I also work with brands. I really market and I dig into brands and really try to pull that story out and give them that visibility they need, either through my events, through my media line, through things that I work on, or just connecting people to the right people. Again, folks,
themaglifestyle.com. Please go check it out right now. Renee, when is this event? Do we know when the veteran event is this year?
Yes. So quick story. We had to skip last year because Clearwater got hit with 2 back-to-back hurricanes.
Yeah, underwater.
In Clearwater of our event. So we postponed it out of respect and wanted everyone to heal from that. So the new date is August 17th this year. Okay. It's a Sunday. It's at OCC Roadhouse in Clearwater, Florida. We are still adding to the lineup. And so we just got the date a couple of weeks ago. We have tentatively, of course, John Daly and Lou Graham from Foreigner, and so many special guests that we have in the works. Of course, Rita Cosby is going to join us on stage again, and we love her presence and what she brings. So exciting. I love it. And folks, we're going to have this information. And then as we go throughout the year, Renee, I want to say that myself and Heroes Media Group, you always have an open mic here. So if you need updates or you want to come on for updates or whatnot, the mic's yours. Just let me know and we'll make sure that we get that to happen, because we want to push everybody that's going to. We would love to see you guys down there in Clearwater in August 17th. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Renee, we're coming up on time. I got one more question for you. I got to ask this. I ask this for everybody. Show's called The Decision Hour. We have to make decisions every day, right? Name a time in your life where your feet are on the line and you have to make that decision. What is it, and what's the atmosphere like at that time? Like a decision, like a life-changing decision? It could be anything. You have to make that decision. What's the decision that you had to make? Something that I already lived through, or something that is foreseen coming? I just want to clarify. Okay, something that you've gone through in life already. Your feet are on the line. You have to make a decision, and you're like, okay, I have to make this decision. Boom. You make the decision. What is it, and what's the atmosphere like for you at the time? I'm going to tie it to this event. I think there was a time where we were at a point where we didn't think this was going to be successful. Things weren't lining up, and I had everything against me, and everyone said, Renee, don't do it. Don't do it.
Really?
Put it off. Yeah, there were people that just didn't think it was going to pull through. And I went against the odds like I always do and said, I had to make a choice, a decision. It was a big one because I knew what I was taking on.
Yeah.
And I was going against the odds. And I had that crossroad. What do I do? Do I stop or do I go?
Yeah.
And nothing felt right about stopping. As hard as I knew that road was to go down by not stopping, I made a decision and I said, I'm doing it. And I will fight tooth and nail. I will scratch my claws in the sand. I'm going to fight and I'm going to make this what it's supposed to be. And I did. And the next day after the event, I have a really interesting picture I'm going to send you. Me and my friend Jacob, he flew down the night before for support. We hung out. It was called the Getaway or Castaway right down the street from our hotel. And I'm sitting on a dock with tropical trees and beautiful water with a toast saying, I did it.
I love it.
Because it's so rewarding to know that as hard as it was, and as challenging as it was the most amazing night. And if I didn't push through, that would never have happened. I would never be talking to you about this amazing event.
I absolutely love that. Folks, again, the event's going to be August 17th, OCC Clearwater. We're going to have more information on that as the time gets closer and closer, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you go check out themaglifestyle.com. Renee, thank you so much for your time today.
Adam, thank you. I can't wait to come back on again. I know I'm like a rookie to this.
It was perfect. Stop it. It was perfect. We absolutely love it. Absolutely loved it. Folks, we're going to have Renee's information in the show notes below. Make sure, again, go check out themaglifestyle.com and stay tuned for more updates on the event coming up in August 17th. Before we let you go, make sure you go check out our parent network, Heroes Media Group. Check out all the podcasts, all the new articles, and the new website that we just launched here last month. So go check that out, heroesmediagroup.com. That's all the time we got today, folks. Till next time, you've been listening to The Decision Hour.